Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here, and welcome to another Snowflake Talks. And for the third time with the Snowflake Talks, I have the wonderful man, a man who is a protector of badgers. He will look after them, he will watch over them. One Angry Pagan, how are you doing, my friend?
I am livid with America, is what I am. Like the name of my channel is really apt right now. I am a very angry pagan.
So you want to change your name to One Angry Anti-Trump hater
I
or
just,
something along those lines?
man, like what one angry anti-fascist, you could say. Like, oh my God, America is now proving itself to be an unreliable ally. We cannot trust America. I mean, it was dubious anyway whether or not we could, in my personal opinion, as a leftist and as a socialist, given its record. But now it really has proven itself to be an unreliable ally.
So what was your initial reaction? Did you stay up and watch it, or was it you woke up the next? So you stayed up and watched it. So what was your thinking around what as it was coming in then, seeing the results?
It was kind of a lot faster than I expected. That my immediate reaction was like, "This is quick." I mean, I expected. Don't get me wrong. I expected like the red states to come in first because like is the rural areas tend to count faster. There's less people, but even the cities were getting counted quick, and I'm like, okay, really? We're going this fast? I mean, everything I was hearing was we were to expect like 3 to 4 days, if not longer, to see how this who's going to win it.
Yeah,
it'd be like a week maybe before we find out who's president. Nah, we find out next day, or like 6 o'clock in the morning. Because I was in between politics, so Graham did an all-nighter, and my God, him and Mike Dix, like, well done.
they did all-nighter. Oh my God! Oh yeah, they did do an all-nighter. My God! Oh,
it's like 7 or 8 hours. He was live streaming, and then I switched over to the rest of his politics, and like it got even more certain because when Graham and Mike switched off, like it wasn't looking good. And then like an hour and a half later, I'm hearing from Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart that like the different news channels are now declaring for Trump. I'm like, what? This early? And then it became it wasn't a red mirage, it was a full red wave. And it turns out that 15 million Democrat voters turned out they didn't turn out, which is completely against the predictions of because the predictions like that Democrats were going to turn out, and turns out they didn't, and that is where my anger started. That's when I started to get, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding? You sat out at this election after the first.
What do you think? Like, my personal feeling is one of the stories that's going around, which I'm hearing a lot of, which I think really does resonate with a lot of people. So there's I think there's an article from the Financial Times that had this graph of different governments around the world who have been kicked out of power ever since COVID, because of inflation, because of the global markets, and how we've all different nations, how as a global economy, how we've struggled to get back to what we used to be before pre-COVID, that everyone is worse off, and everyone just expected their governments to do something about them, and many people feel a sense of, well, we're not better off, like everything's still up, people are still not feeling, like especially medium and low incomers are not feeling it, and nobody seems to be addressing this issue about what essentially is a a cost of living to some people. Obviously, to us, we call it a cost of living crisis here in the UK. Well, would you say there's a cost of living for in the US, or is it just a case of?
I have heard that like people. I mean, myself, I'm technically I'm even less than working class because I'm on benefits, on disability benefit. And it is tough. I mean, it's always tougher in America for people down at my level than it is over here because there's less infrastructure to help these people in America because they don't care for their people in America. I mean, it's kind of multi-level. I mean, there's on one hand you've got this unrealistic expectation that the government's going to fix it like that, which I think is just ridiculously stupid and ignorant, and I have contempt for people who think like that. I just do. I don't mean to talk with an ego on this, but I genuinely do have contempt for people who think like that because it is lazy thinking. It just is. And then you've got the other side, which the wealth disparity increased during the pandemic, which you got these two problems from either side, and you most people might have a go at me for actually blaming the voting public, American public, on this, but they deserve some of the blame, right? But you've got this other side of wealth disparity in this particular context of wealth disparity as well that's increased. So you've got this weird expectation that things are going to be fixed immediately. I want you to fix things immediately when it's not going to happen. Everyone's suffering. So yeah, that's true. I mean, the Tories, I mean, it is kind of a bit simplistic of a view in one way, because I say this because I'm almost 99% sure that the Tories were dead in the water anyway. Reform were never going to become a government. Not from the standing start they're at. It just wasn't going to happen. So we were only left with the Liberal Democrats and Labour, and Labour were always the best one, the ones in best position to take the seat next. So I think, yes, there is there is a lot of validity to the view of incumbent governments globally have take a massive hit. Either they've lost or their majority is gone. So like in India, Modi is still in power, but his majority was cut.
I remember when I covered it. He had quite a significant hit because people were still feeling the pinch of COVID.
And then South Africa, for the first time in its history, in its history of like 40 odd years or whatever it is now, the ANC has lost its majority. It's had to go into true coalition. So there is some validity to that, but you do have to look at the nuance as well. I think looking at the nuance is important here because there are other countries where there was a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, look in Moldova, the incumbent survived, and it wasn't due to the pandemic that she was in danger of losing her seat, of losing her position. It was due to Russian interference. So
I think on Moldova, though, in comparison to other nations, I think, Georgia knows its history in terms of how it's been treated and how it's been viewed as by Russia for a long time and its people. That there's history there. Even though there is deep connections with Russia, there is obviously there are people with a great deal of love and connection to Russia, and there are those who obviously to undermine Russia. There are many in there who feel a grievance to Russia that are still in this belief of we've got to get away from them, despite the global economy, despite what happened with COVID. I think that's a different in comparison. In comparison to like Germany, obviously with its new been a change in Germany. There's been a change in Austria. There's been a
That's what I
change
was
in
saying.
Netherlands and obviously Italy.
It doesn't. That it's not. Whilst it is valid, it's not a uniform. It's not a uniform thing across the board. Like, it's a factor that's played into I would say a majority of the Democratic votes this year, but not all of them. And I think in some cases, the perfect comparison for me here is the UK. It is our own country, where, you know, the Tories were dead in the water anyway. They weren't winning They weren't winning the last election. It just wasn't going to happen. I never felt in any danger of the Tories winning. Other people were going, "Oh no, Tories weren't winning." It was a case of how many seats they would have left after losing. I wanted them to be chucked into third or maybe even fourth place, but no, we got to deal with them as is. I still think we should treat them as unimportant, but that's besides the point. But, you know, it's so Labour like were going to come in, pandemic or not, because Brexit would like being proved a lie. So I
think we're going slightly away from talking about America. But
no. It's the comparison here. So,
but I don't think you can make a fair comparison with the UK. And
you've got this view of like every country across the world is being affected by the pandemic.
Yes,
and so but in the UK, I don't think the Tories lost because of singularly because it's a big factor.
No. The reason there's multiple reasons, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't think you can factor in the UK's election in similarity to the US election. You could factor the US election similarly to other nations that have suffered as a result of COVID. The difference with the UK is, of course, is because of the 14 years of austerity, because of what you said about Brexit, because of the cost of living crisis, the destruction of our national healthcare service, and because of all those things, people didn't vote Labour because they wanted Labour. People voted for Labour and other parties because they were tired of the same government they've had for 14 years. But that doesn't mean that people have faith in centralist politics.
The difference with America is that we didn't swing rightwards. Whilst Reform UK did gain a fair amount of votes,
well, they were third in popularity.
Where votes were always going to matter, actually, the swing was to Lib Dems and Labour, away from the Tories. There was more, like, when you actually look at the graphs, yes, there was a massive swing towards Reform, but the biggest swings were towards the Lib Dems. Lib Dems were the biggest gainers out of the last election.
I really don't think we can make a comparison with I really don't think we can make this comparison with the UK and the US election. I really don't think we can't.
I think the comparison is that whereas in America they seem to have gone for the populism, the population went for the populism.
Yeah, because they were fed up of Democrats. They were fed up of they feel that nothing has changed for them.
But we've had the whole populism and rejected it. We did, like we've had
no.
With
the British public didn't. Hold on.
The British public
rejected. We're going in. We're supposed to be talking about US election, but we're talking about the UK one.
It's a direct comparison because you've got the America. One of the reasons I'm so angry with America is because it's voted for populism. We didn't.
Yep. You're okay. Let me be all right. You're trying.
I know you're trying to claim. Riots, which the riots also show that the British public, by and large, are against the populist movement, and we showed that by coming out against the riots.
Okay, well,
so I'm showing a mirror opposite here from America, which is why I'm so pissed at America.
Okay. to imply that there isn't a rise in the kind of populism in the that there isn't no populism in the UK.
But we reject as a whole, we did reject the populism.
We rejected the Conservatives. We didn't reject populism.
Well, we thought that Reform were going to get more seats than they did. People were expecting Reform to the country to go for more populism than they did. That tells me that more people.
It's a different system anyway. But it's a different system anyway.
To me, it's a mirror opposite of America.
Okay, well, we respectfully disagree on that, but that's fine. But anyways, let's go away from the UK because we're supposed to be talking about America here. So, obviously, guys, I obviously did a deep dive into America yesterday, and I talked a lot about it here. Why do you? What? There are obviously a number of factors into why people voted for MAGA, voted Republican, voted for Trump. You've heard many different reasons. Obviously, you heard what I said yesterday. What do you think that may compel people to say, you know what, I think Trump will make things better for my life, or I believe in this? What is it? What are some of the things that you think that people voted for Donald Trump?
I have identified 2 major points.
Okay.
And in this, I'm in full agreement with the American streamer Force. And that is the liberal democracy, the liberal political system, especially the American liberal political system, has failed the people. And they have now rejected it completely, like well and truly, across the board. Like, if you look at the graphs across America that shows the swings to the right, this kind of goes back to my earlier comments that America has rejected the liberal political system, where it's the status quo, the absolute faith in the institutions. Yeah, the people have rejected that. They wanted change. And then the second part, to me, is the ignorance and stupidity of the average voter. Now, this might sound insulting, but America has suffered one of the least out of all of the major Western economies. If you compare gas prices, they will call gas prices petrol prices from Europe, and that includes the UK because we are European, to America, they're doing a lot better than us, a lot better than us. But do the Americans bother to actually look at that and see and go, like, everyone's suffering but we're suffering the least? No, they just looked at their own personal lives and go, oh, my life's a bit shit. But that's no excuse to vote for a fascist. I especially after they've already had a term of Trump and the economy wasn't boosted by Trump. It was average at best. And then it got hit by the pandemic. So what I'm angry at, what I'm seeing here is a twofold problem where you've got, from the political side of things, the Democrats and the establishment Republicans failed. That their system has failed. This is why Trump has been so successful, because he's gone, I'm going to bring a change to the whole system. Now, it's fascist, but people are going, I want the change. And to me, on one hand, I can see it, but on the other hand, I'm like, it's no excuse to vote for a fascist. So there is both, to me, both are to blame. The stupidity and ignorance of the average American voter, and the political system which has utterly failed its people.
But so there's when I think about, so basically of different perspectives of what I've heard from some Americans and what some analysts have said, there's a lot of things. So regardless of what the world is saying, obviously Americans are obviously thinking about themselves and whatnot. You know, the idea that you know, they're giving a lot of money to Ukraine, for example, or giving money away that they feel that it's been wasted, or they think that that they're not looking, Americans aren't being looked out for. They feel that perhaps they're being fed this narrative that those who are the worst off in society, those who are working class, that they're not being looked after, that they're not being taken care of. Because we saw from 4 years ago, I don't know if you saw that, I think it's up to 10 million voters they lost, up to 10 million. I think it was Kamala Harris that lost from what Joe Biden had before.
15 million.
Was it
15 million voters did not vote
15
this time.
million.
15 million did not vote this time that voted for Biden last time, which is, again, it's just yet another avenue for me to be angry at Americans for being fucking stupid.
Right. Well, I'm not going to call them that, but
my name is One Angry Pagan. Like,
you're One Angry Pagan. That's fine, but I'm not going to call them that. Because we know, because well, there are also lots of good Americans as well. You know, the majority voted. The majority voted, but not all of them.
The majority voted for a fascist, and therefore that majority is fucking stupid.
It's all part of the next Bond movie, says Stephen Banker.
I mean, I'm worried going forwards because America's politics is going to force to be changed by sea level rise, and more immediately, and the effects of climate change. Because on the sea level rise front, within the next 2 decades, Florida, most of that's underwater, 5 feet underwater. Louisiana, most of that's 5 feet underwater. North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Georgia, New York, Maine, some of Texas, Hawaii, so the capital's going to have to move. DC, that's right next to it. I should have included the District of Columbia. So DC as well, that's going to be underwater. So and then inland, where it's drier, you're going to have water wars, right? So Trump being in power now makes that coming situation a lot worse, because there's not going to be like people. I watch a lot of like PBS Eons and PBS Terror, especially for the talk about climate change and stuff. And they were talking about in since Biden come back in, they were able to start researching on preparations for sea level rise and stuff, right? But the last time Trump was in, just saying the words climate change was banned on the within the department. It's going to be worse this time. There's no one to hold him back because he's now got the House and the Senate. So we're we will have we in Europe and Africa and Asia and Australasia will have to take up the brunt for this, as well as South America. I can't forget South America, but like for researching and preparing for climate change, because America won't do it. It will not do it, not under Trump. And it is the single biggest danger to our species. There's nothing worse coming at us than sea level rise and climate change effects, and America is not going to do a damn thing about it. I mean, there was it yesterday, wildfires in California. Last time Trump was in power, he literally, I think he pretty much said, "Let California burn."
I don't remember him saying that, but I wanted to ask you actually, because I've talked about this is obviously a difficult time for the Democratic Party. I don't think they're going to get the House, although I believe it's still being counted it's still being counted, the results, but it's unlikely that they're going to gain the House. So it would be nice. It would be nice if they do gain that at least, but to hold some kind of account. But I don't think that's going to happen. What do they need to do now? Because one of the things that they've always stuck to their status quo of not really going more left. We keep looking back at yesterday I brought up the clip of Bernie Sanders and and how influential and how much he understands what what Americans are going through and their feelings.
What young white men
to be done for the Democratic Party? Do they like?
They
it's
need
not
to listen
just.
to Bernie. They need to listen to Bernie. Bernie came out and kicked. I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah,
but again, I had family visit earlier, so I've been a bit busy. But Bernie has come out and lambasted the Democrats, and I'm not surprised. Again, like the two main drivers, the two main faults for this is a stupidity and ignorance of the average American voter, and probably even larger is the failure of the political system in America, the liberal political system in America. And what they need to do is go for some socialism. Americans, by and large, want an NHS. They want their own version of that. And like I go on when I've watched so many Americans react to this and that videos on YouTube, right? Especially when it comes to Americans reacting to stuff in Britain. And every single time, I wish we had that here. Why don't you do that?
He had a statement. I was trying to find where the statement was, but
Bernie.
He pulled the statement, basically blasted. Yeah, so he basically blasted the Democrats. Which he's been holding back for. He's been holding back, obviously.
If Bernie had, I think Bernie would have been a better challenge, and I think if Bernie had been the candidate, it's
Bernie Sanders. Okay, let me just.
He would have been able to connect to more people.
So let me give some of the quotations that Bernie has said. So he called the Democratic Party's disastrous campaign after Vice President Kamala Harris lost the presidential election. He said it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned it. First, it was the white working class. Now it's the Latino and black workers as well. Sanders continues with his statement. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and that they are right. They are right. He also says on today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions of funding to extremists and Netanyahu's government and its all-out war against the Palestinian people, which has led to horrific humanitarian disaster and mass malnutrition and starvation of thousands of children. He said, will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not, Sanders said. He also says very serious political distress are now merited with a path forward to those who are concerned about the grassroots democracy and economic justice. And the end of the statement was stay tuned. So those are some of the. I don't have the full statement, but
I mean, it's sort of like the Labour Party. Like there are a lot of young Labour MPs that I think could help refresh the party if they were able to push higher, because they're a lot more progressive than the current front bench. The problem is the amount of old people in this country. But I think in direct comparison, like the Democrats need to flush out the old people. Like I respect my elders.
Nancy Pelosi
needs to go. I mean, she's the only thing she's expert in apparently is dealing with stocks and trades, and that doesn't fucking interest me. And she's I mean, to me, Pelosi's a weird one because she's
part of the old establishment. She needs to go.
Yeah. I mean, but we need to bring. I mean, Bernie's sticking around for one last term, from what I gather.
Yeah,
because like I said, he's older. I think he's older than both Biden and Trump. But we need the Democrats. I don't think they will. I don't think they will learn. But as a non-absolutist, I'm not going to say that they're not going to. Because I think it's, I didn't think this kind of a win from Trump was possible. Honestly, I didn't think this. I think if Trump was going to win, it would be a lot closer than this. So I'm not ruling anything out either way.
So we're in the here and now. So it could be. So I don't know if this is true or not, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong if they're an expert in the chat. So I was listening to Brian Tyler Cohen, and he was saying that in order for Donald Trump to not have another election in 4 years' time, to stop the election, they would have to amend the Constitution, and apparently you would need 3/4 of the states to agree to amend the Constitution to not have another U.S. election. So, do you think that Trump could stop the next election? I don't know if he can.
Yep, I'm not saying he will, but I think it's possible. Yes, and the reason why I would take that comment with a pinch of take that guy's comment with a pinch of salt is because he's part of the liberal establishment that the populists have just rejected.
Yeah,
like he's still thinking in a way that lost. Yeah.
Well, I listened to a couple of others are today as well, but it's just one example. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, this is a fundamental to me. It's a misunderstanding of of fascism. Like they can't seem to conceive of fascism in America, despite the fact that they're feeding it. And it's not like Germany in 1933. Again, like people actually voted in Hitler and his party because they were feeling exactly the same way Americans are feeling now, except a bit worse, actually, because Germany was not the most powerful country in the world. And look what happened. And now it's happening in the most powerful country in the world. I really hope there is something in the American system that can hold Trump somewhat to account. But at this point, you don't underestimate fascism.
Yeah.
You just don't.
I should just point out Bernie Sanders is not part of the Democratic Party. He is an independent.
He was
part of the Democratic Party. He was part of it, but he has left. As was Andrew Yang as well at one time. But he's part of a third party now, I believe. One of the smaller one of those small third parties they're trying to build other movements, which is near to next impossible because both parties have a firm grip on the nation. Their system is really, really
it's broken, and the people have rejected that. The people have rejected that system, and the Democrats are still not recognizing it. I'm still seeing comments from Democrats saying, "Oh, like we just needed to do the campaign better." No, Kamala Harris's campaign.
I don't think it was a bad campaign. Everyone, pretty much both sides of the spectrums, I've heard from people saying that it was a good campaign. The problem was that people didn't know what. Like I was saying it yesterday. What were her policies? What was she offering people? Like apart from hope, and then getting a bunch of celebrities. Like this was the thing. Like I thought the celebrity thing was shows. I thought the celebrity thing might help. It obviously didn't. People obviously thought it was. With all these celebrities, it's like these guys are backing me. Why don't you guys back me? Well, it's just like, well, they're rich, they're well off. What about me?
The liberal elite. It's the again. I'll bring it back to the liberals because it's the ignorance of the liberal elite thinking that like people that everyone else thinks the way that they do. And people are also sick of the civility politics. I've heard quite a lot in America of well, kind of what I've been saying, but from the opposite side of things. Of I'm sick and tired of everyone being polite to each other because nothing's getting done. Everyone just agrees to stick to the status quo when nothing changes. Like, well, again,
they didn't want the status quo. They felt that, like, no matter what Kamala did, she was just a continuation of Biden, and people didn't want that.
Yeah, like I said, it's a full rejection. It's a full rejection of the liberal system.
Yeah,
and what Vosh said, where it's now socialism or barbarism, i.e., fascism. I think he's right, because like the age of neoliberalism / liberalism is done. In this country, we seem to buck the trend a little bit, or we're a little bit ahead of the curve because Brexit was our major populist moment that broke our country. I've seen a lot of American streamers who are getting comments from Brits saying, "Oh, look, now you're going through what we went through with Brexit, but worse." And they're not. I don't think those comments are wrong. So, will the Democrats learn? It's possible, but right now they are they're behaving like the Tories.
Let's switch away from we're going to still talk about Trump and the election. Let's talk about a continent that not a lot of people are really talking about, and what it could or couldn't do for them, and that is over in Asia, guys. So what does this mean for China? What does this mean for Taiwan? What does it mean for South Korea, for example, and the border between the two Korean nations? What impact do you think Trump can have, or any impact do you think he'll have on there? And give me your thoughts down in the comments below, what you guys think as well about that part, because this is not something really many people are talking about, because as far as I was aware, so one Taiwanese official reported, this was before the election was called, is that regardless of the outcome, America would still stand by and support them. That's what was one report. But that's, I don't know if that's still the same position. So I'm just having a look to see has any. I mean, they've congratulated Trump on their victory. Taiwan, China hasn't obviously done the same. I thought Xi Jinping, China's leader, Xi, very respectable. Like he's trying to avoid a trade war of any sorts with America with his statement. I don't know if you saw some of the comments that he made in his statement, congratulating Trump on his victory. At the time of this, guys, as well, we'll talk a bit about Russia in a bit, but Putin hasn't actually explicitly congratulated Trump, I don't think. Last I checked, there was conflicting reports. There was one report said he did, and there was one report saying he didn't. So there's one other reports they're saying he didn't.
Privately, it's probably happened, but publicly, no idea.
But do you think anything's going to change? Let's talk Taiwan first. Yeah, Taiwan and China situation. Like, is anything going to change there? Do you think?
I don't think so. And I'm surprised to say it, but I think Trump would support Taiwan, but that's purely on the basis of two reasons. One, he sees China as America's principal enemy, not Russia. And two, Trump's very transactional. And Taiwan, even though America's, going on its boost with microprocessors, Taiwan's still top of the world for it. Taiwan still owns the majority of the market share when it comes to microprocessors and semiconductors. So Trump will see, he's a monetary guy. He still sees the monetary value of US influence, if not control, over Taiwan. And that's largely because, again, he considers Xi and China to be his principal enemy.
I agree. I actually agree with that. I know, Joe, you think Taiwan is in danger now. I disagree. I think Trump sees its main competition as
Trump's not a
China.
friend of Taiwan. He's not a friend of Taiwan.
He's not a friend of Taiwan, but he's not. But there are. But he has more of a. But he's not friendly with China because we saw that with his first presidency.
Exactly.
So I think in that regard, I think they're okay. I don't think in that there would be an escalation there unless China makes the first move. Now, if China was to say declare war and actually engage, the question would be: would Trump react? Would Trump react? And I think that's a more interesting question.
Yeah, because hitting Taiwan will hit America's coffers. And again, I reiterate, Trump is a monetary man. He's all about the money, and it's gonna hit American coffers if Taiwan gets hit. I mean, he was all like, Ukraine's a bit different. We're not going on to Ukraine yet, but Ukraine was a bit different because of the situation from 2019 and stuff. Yeah, but again, he considers himself to be China's. He considers China to be his principal enemy. It's like, and it's North Korea. I mean, people keep trying to say to me, "Oh, but he's friendly with Kim Jong-un." No, he's not. No, he didn't. No, he bloody well is not. They had a massive, they had that meeting, and literally the next day they fell out. I have read the letter that Kim Jong-un sent to Trump, and he's literally saying, mate, you're making me look like an idiot." Like, those were his literal words. So I'm like, North Korea is not his friend, and neither is China. I think Trump is going to be... Trump was the first president to switch focus over to the Pacific anyway.
Yeah.
Because Obama was more interested on dealing with with European, African, and West Asian, or Middle East, but West Asian countries like Syria and whatnot. But Trump, he drastically switched direction when it came to foreign policy over to the Pacific and the South China Sea. And I think, and from what I'm hearing from his advisor, from both his former advisors and his current advisors, is that he is favorable towards Taiwan. At the very least, he's more willing to back Taiwan than leave it to fend for itself.
Yeah. I 100% agree with the tariffs that Trump's got to be imposing here. Yeah, Trump doesn't understand that tariffs on Chinese imports are paid by the importer, not China. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Everyone's been saying that. Trump's going to make things worse for Americans, not make it better for them, and he's going to hurt the global economy in doing so as well.
This is America's Brexit moment. It is literally their Brexit moment, which is why I'm kind of the opinion that we're like maybe 5-10 years ahead of America.
Yeah. I just want to point out in the chat, as much as I appreciate the gifted membership, Malamaga, the gifted membership is not working, and YouTube are refusing to do anything about it. I've already had a long discussion with them. If you want to financially support me, just drop a super chat with your message, and I'll guarantee it'll get read out. But yeah, please don't gift any memberships until it resets, I suppose. I add a new membership, but it hasn't taken effect, even though it says it has gone through. I might just turn off the whole membership thing. I don't know what else I can do with it, but YouTube won't fix the issue with the gifted membership in any way, shape, or form, guys. So, if you want to financially support me, drop a super chat, and I'll guarantee I'll definitely read out your comment on that. Yeah, so I do apologize. It's not my fault. YouTube won't fix it. I spent an hour talking to him on a chat box, and he would not fix they were saying that everything is fine working on my channel when I'm telling them and I'm showing them that gifted memberships are not working on my channel. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So
bloody corpse.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. Anyways, so last time Trump was in presidency, was obviously he was trying to build. He unbelievably had to a great relationship with Kim Jong-un. He sent me a love letter, and all that kind of stuff.
I read that letter. It was
You
not
read
a
the
love
letter.
It
wasn't a love letter. No, don't just. You're gonna let people down now. Don't ruin the love.
Like I said, like Kim was basically going, look, mate, you're making me look like an idiot. That was right at the top of the letter as well. Like it's one of the first things he says in his letter to Trump. Like Kim Jong-un and Trump are not best mates, not at all.
So there's not going to be a reunion then.
I don't think so, because everything I've seen to do with the Trump Kim Jong-un situation is Kim Jong-un does not trust Trump, and now considers him to be weirdly he looks at Trump now in the same way we do, a fucking fat liar.
I think that yeah, I actually like I mean, until I actually hear him talk bad about Kim Jong-un or North Korea, I'm gonna be a bit like I'm gonna be a bit cautious, like, because he was saying in the parts of the election, like he's really nice to me, like he's and all that kind of stuff.
Trump.
Whether they actually will or be not, that yeah, and
you've got the evidence that they aren't best mates. There is evidence of it. Like was it a YouTube channel called Warfronts by Simon Whistler? It showed the letter on that as well.
Yeah,
because it went over Trump's relationship with North Korea, and it's not good.
Yeah, thanks for that £5 super chat. You didn't have to send that, Alistair, but I appreciate support nonetheless. Yeah, I don't know. It might take a while before memberships start working again. Yeah, I might just harass YouTube again when I make time over it. I've got an hour or two to complain to them again.
Or you bloody corporation, you need to fix this.
Well, they should do, because it's more money in their pocket as well. It's more money in their pocket technically as well. So, you know, even if it is a small amount. So you don't think maybe there's going to be? Well, do you think there'll be an escalation in Korea during his presidency or not? Or do you think it's
Possibly.
just going to be a lot of rhetoric?
I think Kim Jong-un is. I think part of the reason he's sending some troops, that he sent some troops to Russia, is to get them some experience.
I don't have much hope of them coming back from it, if I'm honest. But
the point is that, like, the military commanders in North Korea will gain intelligence from their move, from what's going on, because they're soldiers. There's a military alliance now. So I have a feeling that Kim Jong-un's doing this primarily in the sense of, gaining intelligence and gaining experience, not just for his soldiers, but for his commanders.
Yeah.
And he's already, he blew up the monument to peace between the two Koreas. He's named North Korea, South Korea, the principal primary enemy again, and is being a lot more aggressive than he was before in both his rhetoric and exercising movements. They blew up roads connecting the two Koreas, and I was watching a Real Life Law YouTube channel the other day. And
yeah, I know the YouTuber.
He was saying that he was displaying some islands to which there might be conflict over that might start the conflict between the two countries. So I think that one's on a 50-50 chance.
Yeah. Well, I think when we speak about, like, what the impact Donald Trump will have on Asia, I think the main impact will obviously be what what if they're going to be a trade war with China again. I think that's the main one. I think some of the other nations there, obviously, like them, where the rest of the world will be impacted by what he does with the American economy. I think that is certain. I'm going to agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a blowing up of the Korea. I don't think there's going to be a blow up of the Korean War. I hope not. I don't think so. I'm hoping that things stay calm, and I hope that America steps in if needs to be, whether it is for South Korea and Japan, because there's a joint one there on 3 of them, and if something happens with Taiwan, hopefully America will step in there. At least we hope so.
Taiwan's got more hope of backing from America, from Trump, than Korea has, I think.
Yeah. So that's some of our thoughts on Asia there, guys. Okay, let's talk about one which it's really a doom and gloom, I would say, guys. The Middle East. So this is obviously, it's not just obviously about what's going to happen with Gaza. This is also about what's going to happen currently, the situation with Lebanon and Hezbollah there. There's also how this will affect Iran, America's relationship with Saudi Arabia, and perhaps obviously some of the other nations around the Middle East here, because there is a very distinct possibility, and I've not, and I said this yesterday, and I'll say this with you guys here. There's a very distinct possibility that Israel, they've already started, I believe, looking to settle inside Gaza. So the implementation is that they're going to basically wipe out the Palestinians. It sounds like I did see one. This is unconfirmed, but I think one unconfirmed report that Donald Trump gave Netanyahu his blessing to basically wipe out the West Bank and take it all for Israel. That's not confirmed, by the way. Not confirmed. No, it would not surprise me either. I suppose, is there anything that, I suppose a difficult question is there anything that the United Nations, the ICC, and any other Western nations who are trying to protect Palestinian lives, who are claiming to protect Palestinian lives in some of those, in the Gaza or West Bank, or the innocents in Lebanon, is there anything that they can do to stop Israel at this point?
Like, unless they grow a spine, no. And I'm going to sound like a warmonger, which is weird coming from a socialist and a leftist, but unless we physically stop them, no. Same. It's the same. My same reasoning for backing Ukraine, because we're like the age of diplomacy. We're now in the era of volatility and populism. We've got to we have to actually deal with reality as it is, not as we want it to be, unfortunately.
Do you think Iran? Well, do you think America will do anything about Iran directly? I don't think Israel, they personally will.
Israel just crippled them. Just before coming on, I watched the new War Fronts thing talking about the war between Israel and Lebanon, and the strikes on Israel the other day that on Iran the other day that Israel did. It crippled them. It crippled Iran's missile production and their S-300 launchers that they got from Russia.
Yeah.
It crippled their missile defense system. America won't have to do a damn thing. If Israel wants to strike within Iran now, it can. I don't approve of this, by the way, because I'm not a fan of Israel. Israel can. I reckon we should all just leave Israel to it and let it dig its own hole and die at this point, because it's not fair on the Israelis over there that are against this. I know, but the majority of their country is for the war.
Just an interesting comment from Phil there. Malaysia has brought a motion to pass resolution negotiating USA's veto.
Negating.
Well, negate it. Sorry, that's
They want to
interesting.
negate Malaysia. Why would they want to negate the?
Well, to try and stop America
of course
having
they
a
will.
veto, to stop them having I don't know how far that will go, but they're trying something, aren't they? Back in September, they've talked about
America,
limiting the veto powers.
The
there
UN
as
needs
well.
to show that it's. I mean, ideally, the UN would have the ultimate power here, but it doesn't. It has no teeth. Well, it does have teeth, but its teeth aren't very effective. I mean, UNIFIL are a set of its teeth, and they haven't done very well.
The UNRWA is dead.
Unfortunately.
I think they're dead now. I think if
the UN's
the outcome of this
UN's
US
useless.
election means they'll be left
not going to do shit.
Yeah.
America's not going to do anything. Like Lebanon, unfortunately, I think the only fortunate part here for Lebanon is I don't think Israel wants to take over Lebanese land.
No,
completely sanitized southern Lebanon and then go back and then be evil in their own country.
I think there is excuse me, I do think there is constructive talks about some kind of ceasefire between Hezbollah and Lebanon, because I have heard stories that Hezbollah have been willing to negotiate a ceasefire.
Israel have rejected it.
I have heard that. Because obviously there is the UN peacekeepers. The UN peacekeepers as well have been suffering as a result of those in southern Lebanon. In what's the area they called? I can't remember the area it's called, but basically the one in between it is southern Lebanon, but
it's the Hezbollah control region.
I wouldn't call it Hezbollah control. It's supposed to be controlled by the UN, but the UN have done a pretty distasteful job, I have to say, because obviously Hezbollah are allowed to regroup and build up stuff back there. If you look at it in terms of history,
but UN troops aren't there to be offensive.
No, but
that's the problem. If they went there with the mandate of, if Hezbollah start building up, you deal with them. If they had that mandate, great. But they didn't. They were restricted. The problem with the UN is it restricts its mandate, its soldiers' mandates to deal with these problems.
Yeah, USA has been abusing UN rules. Yeah, they've been doing that for ages. The veto powers. The UN is power. The UN can't work here while countries have veto powers. It can't. It made
sense in the 1950s. It made sense in the 1950s. It doesn't make any bloody sense now.
No, it's just been abused at this point. We know it's been abused at this point.
America and Russia are the two biggest, the two worst for this one.
Do we think that so we think it's pretty much over for Palestinians, pretty much? Is there any chance that we think they can survive 4 years? I don't know.
I mean, even if they do, sea level, Gaza is very close to sea level, and this is another area where sea level rise is going to force migration. I have this.
They can't migrate. They're stuck in a wall.
Yeah, no,
prison, aren't they? In Gaza,
it's a case of they flee. They flee whichever way they can, because some are still able to flee. If they can flee, they should flee. They cannot. They will not be able to rebuild their homes. And in the next couple of decades, Gaza won't even be there because it'll be underwater.
North of Gaza's already been settled. There's even a border fence. Yeah, they did threaten to kill. They've been killing lots of journalists, to be fair. I shouldn't say they've been threatening to kill journalists. They've already been killing them, to be fair. So, no worries, David. Thanks for stopping by.
The IDF
Trump will give his blessing. Yeah, Trump will give his blessing. That is for sure.
Trump won't. Trump, as far as I'm concerned, Trump will just go. Yeah, go for it. Because he his whole thing with West Asia is hands off. I want to keep my hands off of West Asia.
Yeah. I'm wondering if anything will change in the Middle East in terms of its relationship with Saudi Arabia or any of the other countries. I don't think too much is going to change in terms of relationships. I mean, obviously, I don't know if. Obviously, I think what's going to happen is obviously we know that things at the moment. I am hoping, like you are, I'm hoping that Lebanon and Israel can come to some kind of agreement and something there which stops the country getting. That there's no as of this moment, I haven't seen any indications that Israel wants to take Lebanon land. I haven't seen that indication. The indication is obviously they want the West Bank and they want Gaza. They want it for themselves. They want to push out basically all Palestinians and have the whole lands for themselves. That's my interpretation from them. And yeah, they want to build that massive connection, don't they? As well, it keeps banging on about Netanyahu. So my hope is that Lebanon and Israel at some point have some kind of peace. But my worry is that I would hope that America would push along with other countries to negotiate some kind of peace there. But yeah,
I think with Lebanon, it's possible. Not with Gaza.
Yeah, not with Gaza. I don't think. Yeah, they're not gonna get any help. I'm afraid.
Gazans will have to flee. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to say it, but God, like there is literally no chance now. Like it's all well and good to support the Gazans. I support the Gazans, the Palestinians, not the fascist part, Hamas, but
not Hamas,
the normal Palestinians. But they have to move. They have to leave. That's no longer their home. I hate to say it. It's their homeland, but it's no longer their home because they don't have a home left.
Yeah. Well, I'll continue. I will continue to cover the Middle East on the Rumble channel for you guys. Just one last thing on the Middle East before we move on to Europe and Europe. I want to talk about Europe, not Ukraine specifically, but the EU. Trump says, obviously, so do you agree with me that Trump is not going to engage in any kind of conflicts in the Middle East and will basically just use Israel, just sit behind Israel in their wars that they're doing, but any other conflicts, he will not touch any other countries or whatsoever? You don't think he's going to start anything?
I don't think it's not like his whole thing was pulling out of Afghanistan. He wanted to pull out the rest of the soldiers out of Syria. He wanted to pull the rest of the soldiers out of No, he did start pulling the rest of the soldiers out of Iraq.
Yeah.
So, everyone blames Biden for the whole Afghan mess up, but it was Trump that organized that in the first place. Like he was the one who did the deal with the Taliban. It was his deal. Because if Biden had gone in to try and change the deal with the Taliban, that would have just blown everything up. That's the analysis. So, but
I don't know about that because the thing is that because he was the US is the most powerful president in the world. I would have said, look, I need to take time. A common sense president would have picked up the phone and said, look, we are still going to pull out, but we need more time to do this.
No, the Taliban were not having it.
Well, I don't know about that, so I'm not gonna.
I'm just going off
by what you've heard. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. So guys, before we just carry on, I just remind you, if you haven't, please hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciated. Share this live stream across social media so others are notified of it. If you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please consider doing so because it really does help. Do consider supporting One Angry Pagan and his YouTube channel. Link for it is down below as well. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can leave some super chats. Gifted memberships are currently not working at the moment. You could also buy me a coffee. Link for that is in the description, or join me on Patreon for exclusive content on that platform as well. So thank you to anyone who has supported me, and for those who have supported One Angry Pagan, it's greatly appreciated. So let's talk about Europe specifically, not the war in Ukraine. We will come to that, but let's talk about Europe. So the United I was going to say United Nations, the European Union, obviously know that they have a very tough situation on their hands because Donald Trump does not like the European Union. He doesn't like the EU. He doesn't like the organization in any way, shape, or form.
He likes some countries, or at least a country in the EU.
A hungry country, I think, is a hungry country. I think Viktor Orban will be pretty fine with Donald Trump. Let's say. How will this election? How will it impact the European Union and its position in the world? Do you think?
Well. See,
Tough
from
one,
what I
isn't it?
gathered, the EU was fairly resistant to Trump's bullying beforehand.
Yes.
And I would suspect it will be again. It's going to be a lot harder for them this time, I think. But I'm not going to actually go on to the subject, but with the Ukraine war happening, I think Europe is in a stronger position in some ways to resist what Trump wants to do. However, this time we have to consider that Trump wants to do these tariff stuff. So, I mean, and that's also going to affect us. You know, if it affects the EU because they're our biggest trading partner, it'll affect us. So, what affects the EU with Trump? I mean, from what I gather, stocks in German cars went down when Trump was declared. This seems to be a bad thing. I'm not too clued up on markets, but this seems to be a bad thing. Or at least the people in the EU are a bit nervy about that.
I think when you were touching on, obviously, one of the things I was listening to was about how obviously with Trump with these tariffs and with the intention of obviously trying to squeeze other nations and whatnot, because the single market is a threat to, it is a competition to the US economy, is the US market. It is a competitor. So he will, and he will see that as trying to undermine it, just like he will try to do that with China's economy, because obviously he wants America to be the superpower and whatnot sort of thing. There's a part of me that thinks that yes, we will, obviously, regardless of what happens, we will face some hardships in all of this. But I do wonder, are we going to suffer as badly being outside or inside? And I think we would probably suffer more just by being on the outside without the support of with the rest of the nations there, because of Brexit there, because we are officially on the outside, as opposed to when Trump was in, it was on.
You're 100% right. And there's also the fact that it's likely to whilst it will make the impetus to want to rejoin more, the feasibility of actually rejoining will be more difficult.
Yes.
Because the EU are going to be even less likely to want to concentrate on dealing with the UK, on dealing with the UK wanting to rejoin, let alone the fact that we haven't got it politically settled in this country. Because the EU won't listen to us on rejoining until the Tories come round, if they ever do.
Yeah.
So they like the EU are going to pay even less attention, which means everyone complaining at Starmer for not doing enough for rejoining the EU is a pile of wank, in my opinion, because he can't do any more than he's doing.
Yeah, I've already ranted about it to people who think, that we can just join on Tuesday or something like that. People just don't understand how things work.
I want to rejoin.
We all want to rejoin. It's just it's a long process. And what's more important right now is
what's more important is Starmer, which he's already doing, is working with them on security.
Yes.
And working on them with climate change and sea level rise, which I've heard is happening, but no one's making any big noises about it. So
yeah, it's difficult for us because obviously we're outside the European Union. But I do, I do think that this is going to test the EU more than ever before about how strong is it really been, because it has been through some rough patches. And obviously there's a change in divide in Europe in particular because of migration, for example, and how that is impacting people's lives. People are, as we've discussed earlier, they're feeling worse off from the after effects of COVID, and they feel that they're not getting the same amount of money that they used to get, or they're not getting the same their cost of living is not going down, because it's not obviously their cost of living is not as bad as us, for example, but there is that premise that people are having, and so that does give people a reason, gives the people on the right to turn to say, the EU aren't doing enough for us, or they're not helping enough for us. So that it does create that premise to some people. And we've seen an increase of parties rising up in the far right. We spoke about them earlier. And obviously, I believe they will push very hard to try and have strong relationship with Donald Trump, the likes of Australia, the increase in the Netherlands, obviously Italy, obviously as well. I think even Slovakia had a change not too long ago as well. So there are those parties that will reach out and stick to Trump like glue, because they're kind of, their ideologies resonate a little bit. I wouldn't say completely with Trump, but resonate with some on the lines of what Trump is, and that could cause problems for the EU if it doesn't already.
Does anyone know what Meloni's, what Giorgia Meloni of Italy, what her relationship is towards Trump?
Not sure on that, but I think her position. I think her position changed, because according to Max, she said I think he was saying, when he talked about, he mentioned him briefly in one of his videos not too long ago, that her position may change her position on immigration and some other parts may change as a result of the US election. A little bit. I think to tilt more to the right, not.
I was going to say.
Yeah, tilt more to the right is what I'm saying. Not going center or center left. No, to tilt more to the right, I believe.
So she's probably going to be an ally of Trump then, because I've heard that Marine Le Pen.
I'm pretty confident that is going to be where she's going to be.
I've heard Le Pen is not exactly the best friend of Trump, which surprised me. I thought Le Pen would be favourable on Trump, but apparently they've got a bit of beef. I don't know the veracity of that, I will add, but apparently they've got a bit of beef.
Well, if she's going to be the next French president, which is what's likely to happen in the next couple of years, because is it going to be a couple of years before there's going to be a new French president, before the presidential election, which at the moment Macron is not going to hold on to it. I don't think he can stay on anyway. This is his last term, I believe. So Le Pen is popular, whether we like it or not. And
it's populism. It's the age of populism, man. Like.
But either way, she's going to have to work with Trump. She's going to have to work with Trump, whether she likes it or not. Same thing with same with Keir Starmer. So she will cooperate to a certain extent. But it will. Well, I really do hope that the European Union remains strong and united against all of this, and finds a way out, finds a way to overcome these barriers that are coming in front of them. That is for sure.
There are two in the natural world, and I'm drawing off my own knowledge base here, because paleontology and zoology is my role house. I see a direct comparison in evolution happens with random mutations in the genome and material conditions forcing both social or behavioral and genetic changes. The EU needs to evolve, and it's struggling. And from what I gather, it is struggling to do so. Now, I'm I'm not so clued in with EU politics. I know Zhao and others in the chat are a lot more clued into this, but everything I hear is that the EU is struggling to adapt and evolve to this age of populism.
Yeah.
And I really hope that it manages to.
Ukraine. So, before we talk about the actual war, well, as far as I'm aware, I'm just going to check actually right now. I'm just going to see if he's actually congratulated him. Okay, he has. Okay, he has just an hour ago. It's just been confirmed. Putin congratulates Trump on the election win and says Russia is ready for dialogue.
I bet it is.
Yeah. So, so they have had dialogue now. That is confirmed. I think he was just waiting for. I don't know what he was waiting for really, but
a little bit more
they've had it now.
maybe. As if it wasn't certain from fucking 5, 6 o'clock in the morning the other day.
Right. Do we think this is the end of Ukraine, or do we think that there is going to be some kind of secured, or is it going to be some kind of forced peace between Ukraine and Russia by Trump, so that the nation at least prolongs without, but won't get back its territory? What do you honestly think?
It's like, I mean, there are two main possibilities, because the most favorable possibility is not likely to happen. Although, again, I'm hearing from some Trump fans and Trump advisors that, oh no, Trump will back Ukraine. I'm like, no. The two main things, the main possibilities I think will happen are, like, the most likely is what he's already said, which is with Russia, he's turned around and said, if you don't fucking stop, then I'm going to pile as many weapons as I like into Ukraine, which he has actually said. And he will go to Ukraine and say, if you don't stop, I ain't giving you any weapons. I ain't giving you nothing. The other option is, which I think is less likely, but scarily more likely than it should be, is that he says to Russia, look, you can have all this and we'll make Ukraine demilitarize itself. If he allows demilitarization, Ukraine is fucked.
See, I think what I'm feeling is that I was just listening. I was listening before you came on about 10-15 minutes ago. Keir Starmer was talking to Zelensky about Britain's unwavering support again for Ukraine, and
he won't stop. I don't think that he won't. I think the EU and the UK will try to support Ukraine as long as they possibly can.
I also think, though, that there is this consensus in Europe and the UK and the West in particular that they will try to pressure Trump to continue to support Ukraine, that they will try to pressure them to do so, and try to distract Trump from focus on other matters and not Ukraine in a way. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work, because the Republican Party don't want to fund and support Ukraine from, like, they want this ideology of, like, why are we giving money to Ukraine, why are we supporting them, and all this kind of position. So
it's weird considering Speaker Mike Johnson finally allowed the money to go through, because in his own words, he sees the threat that Russia causes. So I don't know what to believe when it comes to the Republicans.
Yeah, so let me I will read a bit of this here of what Putin has said, just for those who haven't read this. So Vladimir Putin has congratulated Donald Trump on winning the US election, praising him for showing courage when the government tried to assassinate him. He said Moscow is ready for dialogue with the Republican president-elect. In his first public remarks since Trump's win, Putin, this is from The Guardian for those referencing, Putin said Trump had acted like a real man during the assassination attempt while speaking at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 14th. Putin said, quote, he behaved, in my opinion, in a very correct way, courageously, like a real man. Putin said at the Vasily Discussion Club at a Russian Black Sea resort on Scotchy, quote, "I take this opportunity to congratulate him on his election." Putin added that Trump has been hounded by all sides in the tumultuous presidential election campaign, but said Trump's remarks about Ukraine and restoring relations with Russia deserves attention. What he said about the desire to restore relations with Russia to bring about the end of the Ukrainian crisis, in my opinion, this deserves attention, at least, said Putin. Very, very careful words, I would say, from him. So, from the Russian president.
Careful? I mean,
not the parts about the assassination, okay, but what he said here about trying to restore relations with Russia to bring an end to the Ukrainian crisis. I'm not talking about what he said about the assassination attempt.
I was going to say, like, he just blamed Biden for that assassination attempt. That's what he just.
He's added that Trump has been hounded by all sides. But it's because of who Trump is.
You just read it out. His specific words: attempt by the government. An attempt by the government. He blamed Biden for it. He is trying to incite civil war in America even now.
Well, when is he not trying to incite something?
But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Otherwise, it doesn't surprise me that he congratulate Trump. I mean,
my concern was like, what took you so long? that was my concern.
I think it was a case of like no one. You know how I said earlier how like the result was in within hours. It was like one of our elections. We were not expecting the results to come through this early. So I do think that Putin wanted to just be doubly sure.
The 70-year-old Kremlin chief gave one note of caution. I do not know what is going to happen. I have no clue. You have no clue what's going to happen.
I don't believe him.
I'm going to go on out on a limb and say I don't believe him either. I think he knows what's going to happen. I think he knows what's going to happen. But let's
at least.
So Poland one of the things that people are claiming is that Europe needs to step up its support for Ukraine. Now, there's a really bad premise of if we were to do that. Let's say hypothetically, Europe steps up its weapons and arms and support for Ukraine. Let's say hypothetically we did that, right? My concern is that this would piss off more of the populist voters. People are saying, "Oh, we're giving more weapons, we're giving more arms, we're giving more money to Ukraine, and not looking after the premise." You know, that premise that people will have because there are skeptics in Europe. Because there are
freedom of Ukraine is worth more than these people's opinions. So
but that skepticism is growing, and right-wing politicians are feeding off it.
And we need to fight, and then we need to fight that narrative. We can't just let them have that. No, we need to actually combat that narrative.
So another question is, given that North Korea thinks it's perfectly okay and legal to send their own forces into a war that they have no right to be a part of, should Europe consider its own sending its own troops? Now, the only thing is, and I really want you guys' honest opinions about this. How would you feel about actual troops being involved in this conflict in Ukraine? Not directly with Russia in terms of crossing the border into Russia, but in the Ukraine specifically.
I think we're 2 years too late to be getting cold feet about this.
Now, I know I'm pretty. I think I've said this before, but I'm pretty confident that if Macron was not so concerned about losing his position, where his party is at, and with Le Pen breathing down his neck, with the inevitable doom that he's going to lose his presidency, I think he would have already sent French troops to Ukraine already. I generally do, because he talked about it before and he didn't do it because he got cold feet, obviously. He got cold feet from within.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be others that disagree with me on this, but we should be backing Ukraine. Again, I don't think. I mean, at the very least, I don't think we should be sending, maybe not to the front lines, but if we can support them in their logistics roles inside the country on a more solid basis than we already are, and actually give them proper support, actual backing. I mean, we are supposed to be, we're supposed to, be the defenders of democracy. And there's a European country with its democracy under threat, and people are going, oh, but what about us? We're not under direct threat from a military occupation.
Not yet.
Have some fucking perspective, people. Again, I go back to my opinion of the stupidity and ignorance of the average voter.
I think just
the blunt truth.
So, how would people actually feel about sovereignty? Now, I know Poland is very concerned about are shit scared because of the. I know Poland was shit scared about the outcome because they fear that if Russia does gobble up Ukraine, which I don't think that's actually what's going to happen now. I think there's either going to be one or two things. Zelensky is either going to do two things. He is either going to concede territory to Russia to get a ceasefire if Ukraine switches off the weapons, or he's going to say to Trump, like, if you want this war to end, give me what I need to win. I don't want to invade Russia. We just want our land and our territory back. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to fly with Trump, because Trump wants to end this war ASAP, doesn't he?
The worst.
Or the other thing is he's talking complete bollocks and nothing's going to change at all, and he was just saying that because he can say that.
That is a possibility.
Well. And it could be a case that he does switch this off the weapons and doesn't do anything. That's entirely possible as well.
I mean, we also have to consider Kursk. Kursk has been, it is now on the table for negotiations with Russia. At the very least, that's what most of us think that's the reason why Ukraine did what it did. Not just to
Ukraine will give that back if it comes to negotiations.
Ukraine will give that back under negotiation.
Under negotiations, they don't.
We'll keep for example, we'll keep the Kherson region, not the Kherson region. What's the bit right at the bottom, for fuck's sake?
Give us back Crimea.
A bit that Russia, Ukraine took back half. I'm pretty sure it's Kherson.
Yeah, it's Kherson region. The north of Ukraine. They took the
southern part, southern Ukraine, and they took the northern part of the region, because on the other side of the river is Crimea.
On the other side of Kurshkin, the Daimo River. Are you talking about territory there? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, like, in terms of how much territory.
Because otherwise, Putin will demand that Ukraine give back the land they took back.
I don't think. I would like Ukraine to get back Crimea, but I don't think Putin would negotiate that in any way, shape, or form.
Well, the Black Sea, the Black Sea Fleet is neutralized. It's not effective. Russia's power in the Black Sea is negated by a military that doesn't even have a navy. Russia can't exercise naval power in the Black Sea because Ukraine have neutralized it.
I mean, it's it's not that big of a, if you look it out on a map, and I mean, I'm looking at it on a map here. Hold on, let me get it up for you guys so you can have a look. Where is sharing? Share screen. Don't need map. Just share the window. Let me just see. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you guys can see that. So, so that's the you know,
That's
if you
cursed.
actually look out.
Yeah, that's what.
That's
Yeah, it was
cursed
right.
because
It
it's
was
a green.
cursed on. So you see that at the bottom where it's green. You see at the bottom of the map where it's green.
What here?
Yeah, Putin.
Right.
What Zelensky is more likely to do is want to keep this in exchange for Kursk. Otherwise,
What do you mean? What do you mean? This?
because Putin is demanding that this is given back to him. Putin's demanding that this green bit is given back to him. Kursk can be used to because this is actually really important. Kherson is really important for Ukraine.
He wouldn't Zelensky wouldn't give the other side of that river even if he asked.
Yeah, no, but this this is the thing. Like this area.
Why would they give them territory on the other side of the Dynamo River? That's just suicide.
Well, that's just it. Like,
yeah,
that's just it. Like the worst state, the worst position for Ukraine to be in is if Trump says no, give them Kherson back, the whole of Kherson back. Right, that to me would be a really bad position for Ukraine to be in. That's one of the worst positions for Ukraine to be in a negotiation. But if they can negotiate keeping Kherson with giving back Kursk, it's something.
I don't. I'm not 100% sure about.
It's because
like,
of how
I don't see.
It's purely because of how important the Kursk, that southern region is that important to Ukraine because it's Odessa and then Kherson. Like
he's not giving up that territory. He's not going to. He's not.
But Trump might want to force it. Trump might want to force him to give it up. This is what I'm hoping does not happen.
Well, we'll have to see on that. I'm not sure about that at all, if I'm honest. But I'm not sure about that. Like, we don't know what when they sit down. We honestly don't know what the negotiations are going to be. We honestly don't know what the negotiations are going to. Are going to be there. But
no, but that to me is one of the more likely ones because of how it purely because of its strategic importance. Like,
I mean, personally,
than the Donbass. Honestly, it's more of a sacrifice than the Donbass.
Let's be clear here. Yeah, Putin is more than willing. Like, Putin will negotiate if he's not made to look like a loser in this conflict.
Yeah.
Like, if he's made to look like he's gained territory, if he secures
Luhansk and Donetsk, then he'll consider that a win.
I think he will get Donetsk. I think he he was planning to get that anyway. Kursk invasion is a bargaining chip. Tiny says, yeah, but I don't think Zelensky will concede any land. I think what they will do is they will use it as a means to potentially. They may have to concede the rest of the region of Donetsk, possibly.
Well, this is what I was saying about because they invaded Russia, right? So what they'll do is because Putin is saying I want all of that southern Kherson region back, and Zelensky, as you said, isn't going to want to.
But he'll be. But Zelensky may concede. Zelensky may concede Donetsk.
Well, but like the ceding Donetsk, I think is going to happen anyway. I think Kherson is more strategically and logistically important to Ukraine, militarily speaking, than the Donbass.
Are you implying in this ceasefire that? Are you implying in this ceasefire? Because I think we're reading two different things here. Are you implying in this ceasefire negotiation, if they have, are you implying that Zelensky will have to give up more territory in order to get a ceasefire from Putin and Russia?
With Trump in charge, yeah. I mean, that's what we got. I thought that was the line we got. With Trump in charge, the deal is not likely to be favorable to Ukraine.
No, so but my premise was that they might give up a bit of Donetsk, but they would not.
I reckon they're going to have to give up a bit Donetsk anyway.
Yeah, we know Crimea's already got.
But you have to remember that Putin has said specifically he wants all of Kherson back. But because Ukraine have taken Kursk, Zelensky can now go, look, I know that Donetsk is already probably going away from us, but we will keep hold of the strategically important Kherson, and we can do that, whether Trump says so or not, by negotiating Kursk.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about. I'm not 100% sure whether or not they'll give that up.
It's military. He would no. He. I'm not saying that he'd give Kherson up. I'm saying that he'd give back Kursk in the north, the Russian area they've taken, to say we are keeping this area we've taken back. We are keeping this area taken back, and we'll give you that back. Yeah, he's not. I'm not saying that Zelensky will give up Kherson. I'm saying he's going to negotiate to keep Kherson by negotiating to give back Kursk. Because it's quite militarily important.
It's interesting to say the least. Yeah, whatever the outcome, but let's hope there is some dialogue in it, because we need to have some dialogue of some sorts, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my positions that I've always said to you guys is that, you know, I always don't want fighting or conflicts or wars anywhere, because I don't want people to die. I always want the guns to stop fighting. However, I take this approach differently to the Middle East than I do to Ukraine, because on the premises that Ukraine has had its territory taken from it and it's not been given back. But then you could say the same thing about the lands that have been taken from Palestinians by Israelis as well.
Palestinian lands are technically a part of Israel, which is the problem.
Yeah, technically.
That's the major part. I mean, but like, I'm not a warmonger. I don't like war, but if we have to fight, we should.
So, guys, we're going to wrap up in the next 10-15 minutes or so. If you have any questions, what you guys about Trump or America and what's going to happen in the future, let us know. There is obviously there's quite a few. There's still some time. I think it's like 76 days or something before Trump is officially inaugurated as the president. So Joe Biden does have a bit of time to get some things done while he's president. What do you think Joe Biden's going to do in that period between now and then? Do you think he's going to try and pass some quick bills and whatnot? Do you think?
This is not good.
I think he's going to be rushing some things, Joe Biden. Quick, get me this bill passed. Get me this passed.
I mean, you look at, I don't know if you've had a good look at Project 2025.
Yeah, I have.
But, like, I mean, that shit's scary. I mean, already I've been hearing from people saying that there's going to be an influx or an outflux, maybe is the right word, of LGBT and females from America, because life will become intolerable. I mean, that might be a bit extreme, but I can see some who can make it out of who can leave America probably will.
I think some are going to stick it out in the some of them may move out of the may move into Democratic states because they'll have a bit more protection from Trump. I think that's what they will try, and I think that's what some of them will do out of states where they fear about their futures.
It'll be that, or they move out of the country because they've got no other option.
I don't know about moving completely out of the country, because some of them obviously have spent their entire lives and whatnot.
I did say specifically if they can afford it.
Yeah, some may, but I don't see that now. If you're talking about immigrants or illegal immigrants, it's them who I fear the most.
America's about to topple its own economy by booting out more than 1 million immigrants.
It's gonna be really, really bad.
He's also spoken about, political revenge. Well, we are talking 1930s Germany in America.
Jow asks, there was a sheriff taking names of Kamala supporters. What do you think Trump will do now? He is technically their boss. I don't think he will go like I don't think he will go after supporters directly, supporters of Kamala Harris. I don't think he will. He may go after certain Democrats. He may go after certain Democrats. Democrats.
I think what Jean might mean. I mean, there are demographics that supported Kamala over Trump, and I mean, on an individual level, this sheriff. I mean, we know how sick America is. You know, they have such a bad gun culture over there that nearly everyone who's got a gun wants to fucking use it, and the police over there are not there to serve like they are here. So,
yeah, that's true, Stephen Banker. Thank you for that super chat, Aztakir. Most Google thing in the USA after the result was how to leave the USA.
Yep, that's exactly what I was saying. That's what I mean. Like, you might doubt it, but there are a lot of people who are
actually... Hi, Davey. Thanks for popping in.
Nice one, Davey.
Guys, make sure you check out youtube.com/The Two Davey Show and go check out the pay-per-view tomorrow, Monday to Friday at 10:30. If you're not there, you get put on the naughty step by Dave McGuinness, so you have been warned. You don't want to be on that naughty step. I heard some people get very sore bottoms by being put on it, so you have been warned.
I've been on the naughty step since I was 10.
Interesting statistic here from Super Tiny here. Thanks for that. In the UK, 49% of the population are below average intelligence. In the USA, it's a staggering 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it literally goes to what I've been saying about the average voter. But they also fear education and intelligence, and it's Trump doesn't do anything but feed that more. Yeah, he is feeding a low educated population an ideology not to trust science and the experts. It is evil.
So it looks like Canada may get an influx of Americans. Not that they have anything against Americans anyway. I'm sure they would welcome their.
Well, Canada's about to take a right-wing turn as well. Trudeau is.
Actually, it's funny you said that. Yeah, actually, you say that because wasn't there a story about they were going to reduce the amount of migrants that they take in or something?
Yeah,
wasn't there?
Yeah, Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party, as liberalism is failing everywhere, man. Like, the Liberal Party in Canada is about to fail. It just. And it's not like it's lefties that are there ready to take control, ready to take over. No, the left in Canada as well as America have let the right get more control. They haven't made more of an effort. The problem with the left seems to be that because an average thing on the left is we don't like all this big organization. We like the decentralization. The problem is we have less power to do stuff with because of that. We need to recognize that we actually need to get involved with some of these institutions, these institutional parties, and change them from the inside as well. It's not easy, but it's something we have to do.
Yeah. We're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes, guys. So if you've got any more questions, anything you want to ask us about what you guys think about Trump and America, let's your thoughts down in the comments below. Billy Kershaw, Dave Blase, good to see you guys come in late. Hope you guys are both well. Just a reminder Daily Blase is here. Make sure you check out tomorrow at 5 p.m. on youtube.com/Daily Blase's Friday Frolics. It's absolutely fun stuff on his live stream. Do check it out. I'm sure he'll have plenty of stuff on there. So youtube.com/Daily Blase. You've got a live stream every Friday to kind of wind things down. So if you've been feeling sad, let down, and whatnot, and feeling doom and gloom after this week, especially after the results of the US election, might be worth popping in to Friday Frolics on at 5 p.m. UK time on Daily Blase's channel. I'm sure he will give us some really good stuff to have a laugh about, because one cure that you can always rely on when you are feeling down is laughter, guys. It's absolute laughter, and that's the good thing, Pagan. We can, as if no matter how bad how shit things are going to get, we can just look at saying, look how fucking stupid Trump is. What on earth is he talking about? Then he talks something about bleach. Like we can at least have a bit of fun and mockery of it. Because if we can't have fun about this, all we're going to do is just going to be sad.
I hope that he doesn't do things so dangerous that we can still laugh at him. Because otherwise, laughing at him is going to feel a little bit disrespectful to those suffering under his evilness.
Yes, that's true. But we, unfortunately, as well, we can only call it out, and we can only organize. And I just hope that Americans do try to organize as best they possibly can and fight as much as they best possibly can within America against some of the changes that are coming. But it's going to get worse for them before things get better.
I said America's facing a changing map. In the next 20 years, its map is going to change because of sea level rise. Sea level rise. I know this is more about America. This is supposed to be about America and Trump, but like politics in America will be directly changed by sea level rise because the map will change. And this isn't a guess. This is going to happen.
Shit system produces shit much like ours is number 3. Good to see you, number 3.
Can't argue with that one.
That's needed that to be fair. I can't smile about an orange man with the finger in the button. I mean, I guess him working at McDonald's did pay off then, didn't it?
I'm a common man. No,
he's not a common man. He worked at a McDonald's, so it worked. It worked. Unfortunately,
it's like people going, Nigel Farage is a comic. All last year, the biggest thing he fucking complained about was not having a millionaire's bank account. He is not a common man.
Yeah, I know, but people still think he's a common man because he sits in a pub and drinks a pint of beer. And
that makes him done a single surgery in his own fucking constituency yet.
He can't because he fears for his life. Can you do like he can't? He said, "I've done Zoom calls." It was just like, yeah, but that's not the same thing. He claims to have done. Oh, hold on. Let me correct myself. He has claimed to have done Zoom calls on them guys. Claimed. There's no. He's not given. At the time of this recording, I have not seen any evidence that has shown that to be true.
If Nigel gets booted at the next election in the UK, I will be proved right that we've rejected populism.
that would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome.
Please let it happen.
That would be pretty awesome. Guys, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has come along. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for the 2 £5 super chats. I really appreciate it, my friend. So a reminder that next week, Thursday, back here, 8 o'clock. Do join us, myself, One Angry Pagan, Daily Blase, and All Schultz. We will have a round table discussion talking about the latest news. We'll probably even touch on Trump because it'll be something that still kind of be ripple effects will still probably be happening from that as well. So don't be surprised if we talk about that as well. Yeah, I've been consumed by US politics as well over the last day since the election as well. So do join us next week for that. I'm sure there'll be a lot to discuss then as well. Do check out One Angry Pagan's YouTube channel as well. And myself and One Angry Pagan will be coming together again next month in December for another Snowflake Roundtable. I've got 2 guests in mind. I just need to confirm with both of them at some point. For it, because I do have a bit of a themed one, and I do plan to try and do one in January as well. So do keep your eyes out for that one as well. And also, myself and Lee Korn are planning to do a Snowflake Show Christmas special in December for you guys as well. So I really hope we do have a date confirmed, but obviously I'll wait till a bit closer to the time just to confirm that he's still okay with that day. Because obviously December is a very busy time, understandably, as I'm sure you all know. And yes, I will. I haven't put the streams up. I will probably set them up either tonight or tomorrow. But yes, I will be doing a mental health live stream next week. Probably be on Wednesday, most likely, because I know people need that right now, because people are struggling and they need to have a talk, and that's totally cool. So if you do want to have a talk about that stuff, do join me next week, Wednesday evening. I will not be doing a Snowflake Watch that evening. We'll be talking about mental health and how it's going to affect. Obviously, we need to talk about that, because obviously a lot of people are feeling down right now, and we need to try and bring people up. That is for sure, guys. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
Just want to advise people, if you want to smile, if you want to brighten your day up, there's a video. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and it's called Bob the Pet Badger. Trust me, it will brighten your day up.
There you have it, guys. Bob the Pet Badger. So so guys, we will see. Well, both of us will see you next week here. But until then, guys, I will be doing a live stream tomorrow, but I don't expect many people to turn up because they'll probably not be interested in it. I am going to be covering the Prime Minister's questions, because I actually want to watch it. I've looked at a little bit of it, but I want to actually watch it in full, because there are some interesting stuff. There is some interesting stuff on Prime Minister's questions I want to cover anyway. So if you want to join me tomorrow at 7, Friday at 7 o'clock for Prime Minister's questions, then you're more than welcome to join me there on that as well. But that's the only other live stream I've got for this week. Yeah, guys. So yeah, thanks guys for coming along. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so others are notified of this live stream. If you haven't subscribed to my channel or One Angry Pagans, please do so. The links for both of them are in the description down below. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by buying me a coffee or joining me on Patreon. You've run out of time to leave a super chat. Memberships are currently not working at the moment. So thank you all guys so much for watching, and we hope to catch you all very, very soon. Bye.